Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Valerie. And again, welcome to today's webinar on CO2 with a focus on standards and guidelines. I just have a couple of opening remarks, and then we'll get to it. The reason we're doing this is because people have been talking and uh, using and abusing indoor carbon dioxide since the 1600s. You can see some uh, pictures of some old people up here on the upper right. And these discussions have focused on what does CO2 do to people? How does it relate to the perception of body odor? CO2 can be used as a tracer gas to evaluate ventilation performance. And then finally, how CO2 can be used to control ventilation rates. All of these topics we're going to talk about today. However, CO2 has been misapplied and misinterpreted for a long time. I wrote this paper in 1997 to try to clear it up with just a little bit, but just haven't quite succeeded. More recently, I think in large part in response to the pandemic, there's been a lot more interest in CO2, which is good, more measurement, which is good, but more confusion, which is not good. And what the good news is that people can argue and talk and misspeak about CO2, but what we have now are some standards and some guidance documents that have, been developed and published that kind of say what, have a little bit of truth in there and developed by committees and organizations of smart people. So we're really focused on these standards and guidelines today, not just the same old whining about how people don't use CO2 properly. I often say these standards should be not published as PDFs, but in hardcover documents, so you can hit people in the head with them. But PDFs are more popular. One thing we're not going to talk about so much is sensor performance. As we were planning today, that was identified as a big issue, and our last speaker is going to touch on it a little bit, but the idea is to have another webinar in the future that's focused on sensor performance. And the agenda, which was published with the invitation, is shown here. I think the times are super precise, and you can see pictures of our speakers. Some of the pictures are old. All the speakers are also old, but I want to thank them in advance for their presentations. And that is the introduction.